What if I told you that China's grand plan to reshape global trade is starting to crumble? Right in the heart of Europe. The Belt and Road Initiative, once seen as Beijing's masterstroke to connect Asia with Europe through massive infrastructure and influence, is now facing a cold, hard reality. Promises of prosperity have collided with political backlash. Strategic ports, rail lines, and billion-dollar deals are being re-evaluated, delayed, or outright abandoned. And now, in 2025, even some of China's closest European partners are walking away. Italy, the first G7 country to join the initiative, has officially exited. Countries that once rolled out the red carpet are now rolling up the tracks. What happened? Was it poor planning? Western pressure? Or has Europe finally realized that the new Silk Road came with strings attached? This isn't just another story about trade routes and investments. This is a turning point in global power. As China's influence strategy loses ground in Europe, a deeper question emerges. Has the new Silk Road become a road to nowhere? In this video, we're breaking down exactly why China's Belt and Road is failing in Europe. We'll look at the secret deals, the backlash from Brussels, the shifting alliances, and why this collapse matters far beyond economics. Because this is about more than just infrastructure. This is about trust, control, and the future of global leadership. So stick around. What you're about to see is the 2025 update they don't want you to talk about. Let's start from the beginning. The Belt and Road Initiative, also known as the New Silk Road, was launched by China in 2013. The idea was simple but bold. Build roads, railways, ports, and power plants across the world to improve trade and increase China's global influence. It was compared to the ancient Silk Road, which once connected China to Europe centuries ago. But this time, the plan was even bigger. Over 140 countries signed up. Trillions of dollars were promised, and Europe quickly became one of the key targets. China wanted to build faster trade routes from Asia to Europe, trains from China to Germany, ports in Italy, Greece, and the Netherlands, railways in Serbia and Hungary. These projects were meant to reduce shipping time, lower costs, and give China more control over global trade. By 2021, China had already invested over $100 billion across Europe. And the deals looked exciting. In Greece, a Chinese company took over the port of Piraeus, turning it into one of the busiest in Europe. In Hungary, a high-speed rail project connecting Budapest to Belgrade was launched, funded largely by Chinese loans. Then came the biggest headline. In 2019, Italy became the first G7 nation to officially join the Belt and Road Initiative. This was a huge win for China. Rome signed deals worth nearly $2.8 billion, expecting major Chinese investments in ports, energy, and construction. European leaders spoke about new opportunities. They said China would bring money, jobs, and infrastructure. For countries struggling with debt or slow growth, it seemed like a good offer. But behind the big promises, warning signs started to appear. Delays, budget problems, and rising doubts about who really benefits from these projects. At first, these concerns were quiet, but soon they would grow louder and shake the entire project. Next, let's talk about how things began to fall apart. From political pressure to broken promises, we'll uncover what went wrong and why Europe started backing away from the new Silk Road. So, what went wrong? At first, it was the fine print. Many of the deals signed with China had hidden costs. Some countries realized they were taking on huge loans, with high interest rates and vague terms. Projects were delayed, budgets were stretched, local workers were often left out. And the promised economic boom? It didn't show up. Let's take the Budapest-Belgrade Railway. It was sold as a high-speed connection between two capitals, but years later, it's still incomplete. Costs went from around $2 billion to over $3 billion, and most of the contracts went to Chinese companies. Locals began to ask, who is this really for? Then came the politics. The European Union grew more cautious. Leaders in Brussels raised red flags. They warned member states about becoming too dependent on China. Security experts said some projects could be used for spying or political pressure. Even NATO shared concerns about Chinese influence in strategic areas, like ports and data infrastructure. In 2020 and 2021, tensions between China and Western nations increased. Trade disputes, sanctions, accusations of human rights violations. Public opinion in Europe began to shift. Many saw China not as a partner, but as a rival. Italy's move in 2023 said it all. After 4 years in the Belt and Road Initiative, the Italian government walked away. Officials said the partnership brought little benefit. Trade with China had not grown as expected, and Europe's top leaders had made it clear the EU should speak with one voice on foreign policy. Italy's exit wasn't just a diplomatic message, it was a turning point. Other countries started reviewing their own deals. Ports in Greece and Spain faced protests. Governments began passing laws to screen foreign investments. China, once seen as a solution, was now seen as a strategic risk. By 2025, the momentum had clearly shifted. The phrase de-risking became common in Brussels, not cutting off China completely, but reducing exposure. That meant fewer joint projects, more controls, and stronger ties with trusted partners. So what does all this mean? China's dream of linking East and West through the New Silk Road is still alive, but in Europe it's clearly struggling. Political pushback, economic concerns, and a growing mistrust have turned excitement into resistance. Now, China is pivoting. More focus is going toward Asia, Africa, and Latin America, regions where governments are still eager for infrastructure and less tied to U.S. influence. But Europe? It's taking a different path now. The question is, can China adapt fast enough to keep its vision alive? Or is the Belt and Road slowly becoming a road to nowhere? Let me know what you think in the comments. Has Europe made the right call? And what's next for China's global ambitions? If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. More global insights are on the way.